All right, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about the price of Bitcoin, especially in the future. So I've seen this from Will Clementi, the bull case for Bitcoin according to ARK. So ARK has been wrong about a lot of things. In fact, probably the majority of their ideas and stuff. But the one thing they have been right about, and they've been bullish on Bitcoin for probably a good 5 years or so now, and they have been right about that. So you definitely have to give them that one at least. They've been wrong about a lot of the stocks that they've invested in, but I think that they're right about this. And so let's get into it. This is their bull case here, or their bear case, base case, and bull case. So this is for 2030. And they actually came out with this going into 2023. So this is like 6 or 7 months old. So again, their bear case is 258,000, a 40% annual growth rate, which again, compared to stocks, that's very generous, right? But I mean, if you look back at Bitcoin, it's going at like 150% a year. But again, I think the days of several 1,000% bull markets is probably in the past. But I will get into my guess on this stuff as well. Their base case is 682,000 or 60% a year. Their bull case is 1.48 million, which is 75% a year. So what is my prediction? Again, I would mention this off the start. Nobody knows, right? We are just guessing, but I'm fairly bullish as well. I think the next halving cycle we would get to probably 200,000 or 300,000. If we get a spot ETF approved, chances are there's going to be several. Until it happens, I'm a little bit skeptical because they have denied some of these so far. But on the flip side, we do have like BlackRock and some of these giant ones trying. And honestly, they can only hold this off for so long. I mean, this idea that, we can't have a Bitcoin future or a Bitcoin spot ETF because it's too risky when they have like leveraged NASDAQ ones, leveraged Tesla ones, like come on, like it's utterly laughable that they're using that as an excuse. It's utterly laughable that they haven't done it up to this point. So I think that it's only a matter of time. If we get a spot ETF approved, I see no reason why we can't get 5 to 10x over the next halving cycle. Meaning, I think 500,000 probably is my high end guess for the next halving cycle. I'd say maybe 200,000 on the low end, and anywhere in between. If I were to guess, if I were to bet money on it, gun to your head, you got to bet money on it. I'd say probably between 300,000 to 400,000. Right? That's roughly a 5x from the previous one, which is right around where it has gone previously. Right? So like I say, 300,000, right? If I was, gun to my head, the high for the next cycle, that's where I would put it. But like I said, I think it's highly dependent on, do we get a spot ETF approved, and what is the SEC going to do with trying to regulate crypto in general? And when we get into that, it's looking like XRP is going to win, which is shocking because I think XRP and these kind of coins are everything that's wrong with crypto, right? Because they're centralized, they're everything. Like the whole point of crypto, I think at the end of the day, is decentralization, and coins like XRP, Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, they're not decentralized. They can tell you they're decentralized, but they're not. The fact that the SEC can even go after them in the first place is all you really need to know. And people would say, well, what if they go after Bitcoins? Like, okay, well, who do they go after? What individual do they go after? What corporation do they go after? There's nobody to go after. Now, again, technically, yeah, they can regulate the on-ramps and the off-ramps more than they currently do, but it's a hell of a lot easier to do it with these other ones. Why would they go after Bitcoin first? Right? So, honestly, and the reason why I think that's bullish for Bitcoin either way in the long run, but I think it's bullish because if XRP isn't going to get regulated, Bitcoin's not going to get regulated. Like that's like, if there's some random Joe Schmo penny stock is going to pass, then yeah, Apple's going to be fine, right? And that's what we're really talking about here. And that brings me to my next point. We still have the vast majority of these big institutional money managers that believe all the garbage FUD that is so easy to debunk, it's not even funny, right? The majority, in fact, virtually, I listen to a lot of these mainstream guys because they're good on stocks, right? They know their stuff on stocks, but they're so ingrained in this way of thinking that, because Bitcoin, basically they don't understand it, but they're never going to put it that way, right? It's always, I don't understand how to value it, or it's not providing me value, or it's not paying dividends. Like, of course it's not paying dividends or providing value like a traditional stock is. It's not even the same thing. And the way you know that these guys don't know what they're talking about is that they never actually address the main argument. Their argument is always some garbage straw man, right? And the main argument for Bitcoin, there's other ones that you could add in, but the main one is, number one, you will never be devalued, and number two, you are your own, you control your own destiny with it, right? You can never be, there can never be a Ponzi scheme with Bitcoin, right? You own it. And it's hilarious that these people argue that Bitcoin's a Ponzi scheme. It's like, it's the exact opposite. It is literally the exact opposite, right? You can never lose your piece of the pie. If you're stupid and you store it in a stupid way, or you keep it on an exchange or whatever, technically you can. But if you do the slightest amount of research and you hold your own coins, right? You hold your own private keys. You control your destiny, and you do not do that in the existing financial markets, right? You don't. You can't, like, if I move, like, the government could take your stock portfolio if they wanted, right? They're already devaluing your bank, the money in the bank or cash by whatever 2 or 3% a year, right? Your bonds. Look at what they did to Russia and any of these countries they don't like. And there's a lot of incredibly naive people out there. Oh, yeah, it's a good thing. They're the worst thing in the world. But it's like, okay, well, yeah, if they can do it to them, they can do it to you. Look at the past, right? Look at the past, right? They always start with the legitimately bad people, and before you know it, it's anyone who's not willing to stand in line. And the way to think about it is, would you want your worst enemy in control of this stuff? And nobody's going to answer yes, right? Nobody's going to answer yes to that. Nobody's going to answer, yeah, I totally want my worst enemy in charge of regulating, banking, which will inevitably get people that they don't like politically or for whatever reason, they will go after them, right? So the existing financial system, a good way of putting it is, it requires a lot of trust. And Bitcoin requires zero, because you are in control of it, right? So those are the two main reasons to own Bitcoin, because nobody can take it from you, both physically, like they can with your bank account or your stocks or your bonds. And the other big reason is it can't be devalued, right? And you can take it wherever the hell you want too, right? There is no other asset, including gold, including most of these other coins, that cannot happen, right? So that is the bull case for Bitcoin. And again, if gold can get a $9 trillion market cap, with that being one of their supposed main reasons for existing, like, why can Bitcoin not do it, right? So that was a little rant I wanted to get out of the way, but I think that ARK, they do a pretty good job here. Their base case, 682,000. So we're going to have 2 more halving cycles between now and 2030, right? There's one coming up next year, and then there'll be another one in 2028, right? So what do I think? Where do I think it's going to be? Like I said, my rough prediction is 300,000 for the next one. Honestly, I'd say probably between $1 million and I'd say probably around $1 million for the next one. Maybe $1 million, 1.5 on the high end, which is what their bull case is as well. But I would set it right around $1 million, right around $1 million. So I think that their base case, and probably, if anything, I think is a little bit conservative, because again, and why? What is my reasoning for that? My reasoning for that is, number one, there's no spot Bitcoin ETF in the States. Most, if not the vast majority of these institutional money guys, they still don't have the foggiest clue about this, right? They still don't have the foggiest clue, right? And it got to $70,000 the last time, and these guys still don't know. They don't have the foggiest clue. So if they can get to 70,000 with no spot ETF, vast majority of these institutional money guys not supporting it, Sovereign wealth funds, pension funds, like none of that is existing yet. None of it. And that's where the real money comes in. Once the BlackRock start getting interested, that's where the real money comes in. Now, again, I'm not a huge fan of BlackRock by any means. But again, the free market's the free market, right? So again, and they have all of these they break it down here, right? Corporate treasury cash and equivalents, right? Right now, that doesn't even exist, right? Their base case, 2.5%. I don't see how that's unreasonable. Global remittance volume, 10%. That might be a little bit generous, but again, nation-state global treasury reserves, 1%. That's not out of the realm of possibilities by any means. Emerging market currency, right? 3%. Economic settlement network, 5%. That one's hard to tell, I think. Seizure resistant asset, 3%. I think that number should be like 50%. Like seriously, that number should be like 50%. Is it going to get anywhere close to there? I highly doubt it, but that's where it should be. It's an institutional investment, 2.5%. Digital gold, 40%. So again, that's another important thing as well, is that as the boomers start to die off, that's where the younger generation is going to start moving their assets, right? How many millennials, and especially the even younger generation, I'm blanking on which one it is, are they going to want to hold physical gold, right? No, of course not. They're going to want to to be fair, a lot of them are going to put their money in stupid altcoins that are worthless because they're not decentralized. They had a massive pre-mine. The list goes on and on. Every red flag that exists in a crypto. But again, over time, the crappy altcoins will come and go, right? Bitcoin's not perfect by any means, but it is the best we have. And the first mover advantage is so large that it's borderline impossible for a legit competitor to come in, right? So again, like I said, to sum it up here, I think that they do a pretty good job here, right? I think that they're pretty good because there is so much room left to grow still, like a crazy amount of room left to grow. Because right now it is overwhelmingly average Joes that have their money in Bitcoin. Right, aside from a very, very small amount, like the, Michael Saylor, MicroStrategies of the world, like where can you look? El Salvador, like there is a very, very small amount of this, and it doesn't require a lot, right? If the average person, if they put 1% in, right? If the average pension fund's like, yeah, we're going to allocate 1%, right? Massive amount of growth is still left to come, right? And again, when that happens, we will get these FOMO stages where we get massive runs up, right? We could have individual months where it goes up 100%. I could see that, right? I mean, when a spot Bitcoin ETF gets approved, I could see Bitcoin going up $10,000 damn near overnight within a week, right? When a major country pulls an El Salvador, what's going to happen? When Apple or Amazon pulls a MicroStrategy, what's going to happen? Like every one of these things more than likely will happen in the next 10 years or so. And that's where we're going to see the crazy amount of growth, right? And again, to go over the bear cases, there's no legitimate bear case for Bitcoin that I would like to entertain. Honestly, the only one that I'm concerned about, to be honest, is Bitcoin continues to go up and easily beat the stock market, and the government will go after people that hold it because the usual, you're greedy and you got lucky, even though we've been screaming from the rooftops for years, some people even a decade at this point, that you should be getting in. That's my biggest concern, to be honest, because all of the bear arguments that I've heard, it's just garbage FUD from people who don't know what they're talking about, or they deliberately want to mislead you, right? I have yet to hear a legit bear argument, at least with a legitimate comparison, right? And the main reason I know that is 90% of the time when you hear someone make a bear argument for Bitcoin, that you can tell they don't know what they're talking about the minute they open their mouths. because they don't steel man the Bitcoin argument. They will straw man. They will just do the usual, oh, it's government's going to regulate it, or the usual trying to compare it to a stock and thinking they're the exact same thing. Or they'll be like, they'll talk about crypto like they're all completely interchangeable and there's no difference, right? When people talk like that, you know instantly they don't know what they're talking about, right? If they try and lump crypto all together, they don't know what they're talking about, right? If they're not addressing the best arguments, then you don't know what they're talking about. I don't care who they are, if they're a money manager with a net worth of $1 billion, right? I mean, look at Warren Buffett, right? For the longest time, he was anti a lot of these tech stocks, and look at how much of his holdings were Apple. If he wouldn't have been such a stickler, he would have made way more. You know, but again, that's just how a lot of this stuff works, and that's why I'm so bullish, right? Because like I will start to be concerned when you have people like Warren Buffett that are all over it, that they can't stop talking about it. When Dave Ramsey, when he can't stop talking about it. That's when I will get a little bit concerned, right? And another thing, looking back at it, the last bull run, when you have random people that have never talked with you about it, but they know you have it, when those people start to ask you about it, that's when it gets a little concerning, because I remember people ask me about it at like 60, like very close to its highs. I don't remember exactly where it was at, but I remember like people asking about it that have never talked about it before. And I've talked about it with people that have talked about it for years, even when it was at like 15, 20,000, right? When they talk to you about it, okay, you know you're good. But when it's random people that have never brought it up, that's when I would be a little bit concerned, right? So people say, oh, you know, you're just, you know, you're a Bitcoin, you know, you're just blindly bullish Bitcoin, right? Again, I've gave my reasoning, right? I will be, it's not that I'm, honestly, I don't know if I will ever stop buying, honestly. If it's like insanely if I think it's insanely overvalued, I will stop buying. But honestly, I think dollar cost averaging is the best strategy in the long run. But again, back to my main point, I will be a little concerned when those big institutional guys that are all bearish right now, when they start to never stop talking about it, that's when I'll get a little bit bearish, right? When the random people that have never brought it up before, when they start talking about it, that's when I'll be a little concerned. So again, for all the people out there that are like, okay, well, when would you be a little concerned, or when would you be a little bit bearish? That's when I'll be a little bit bearish. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about today. If you liked the video, hit that like and subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, and we'll see you next time.